Let's begin here this hour. Lindiwe Sisulu has again put chemical castration for sexual offenders back on the agenda, but gender activist Lisa Vetten is adamant this is not a solution to the country's high rape figures. Sisulu leads the ANC's subcommittee on social transformation. She's raised this before without success, and now it's coming up again as the ANC is preparing for its national policy conference this weekend. Let's discuss this now with Lisa Vetten, who joins me now virtually. Lisa, very good afternoon. It's coming up again as we are hearing from the ANC as they're gathering for the policy conference. Lindiwe Sisulu saying she thinks chemical castration is something that needs to be discussed. She never succeeded in the past. Now it's coming up again. Is it a solution at all?
No, it isn't. And you can see that from the very simple fact that very few countries in the world actually practice it. It's typically used for prostate cancer. But there's very little research that's been done around its effectiveness in relation to sex offenders. But what the research has told us is that it doesn't necessarily work on everybody. It's still possible to have sexual urges and to act sexually even though you are effectively chemically castrated. So that's the one problem. But I think the major problem is that it fundamentally misunderstands the consensus around the world as to what causes gender-based violence. The assumption here with when you advance something like castration is that the problem is in too much testosterone and androgen, and that it's men's hormones that are the problem. The consensus is that it has everything to do with gender norms, gender inequality, and social inequality. And that is what the Minister Sisulu simply doesn't get. In fact, she's actually speaking against things like the country's national strategic plan around gender-based violence, makes no reference whatsoever to castration, but talks about things like strengthening and improving the criminal justice system, as well as the very important work of trying to undertake a range of different initiatives to transform social norms and gender inequality. So she's out of step with everything, international opinion, as well as the country's national strategic plan. And there just is nothing to suggest that this would work. I mean, if Minister Sisulu really wants to do something meaningful about the high rates of rape and sexual offences in this country, she'd go and take a look at the courts, for example. If you look at the National Prosecuting Authority's annual report over the last 10 years, from 2010-11 to 2020-21, they will show you that the number of rapes that are being prosecuted by the National Prosecuting Authority is lower than it was 10 years ago. She would do really a good job to go and find out why that is so. And she would also understand that if we are now arresting and convicting fewer rapists than we were 10 years ago, it's a very, very tiny minority who are going to be eligible for chemical castration anyway, even if we opted for that solution. So it would be much better for her to put her energies into understanding why government cannot implement its own programs, rather than trying to come up with brand new punishments that are impractical and we really have no proof to show that they work.
So we do have a scourge of rape in our country. I mean, children and women are sexually attacked and abused and violated. Is there a solution therefore, if it's not chemical castration, is the solution, as you've said, ensuring that those who commit, the perpetrators are arrested, they are prosecuted and they are sent to jail for quite a long time, and that the issues of inequality in our society are effectively tackled head-on and addressed?
Absolutely, because if you look at the research that I and others have done around looking at the progression of rape cases through the criminal justice system, depending on which province you're in, between 40% to 60% of rapes result in an arrest. So we're already losing a very big chunk of reports at that stage. And when we look at convictions, again, depending on which province you're in, but nationally the average is only 8% of rapes resulting in a conviction. So let's rather fix those particular systems. And as I just mentioned, that percentage of cases which is resulting in a conviction is declining. We really need to understand why. And if we were really interested in taking child protection seriously, we would do things like look at providing safe, good quality, free or affordable childcare. I mean, in South Africa, the reality is that many women are single mothers. They need to work. They need to leave their children in the care of a family member. Family members are not always their best option because the research shows very clearly that children are at much greater risk of family members than they are of strangers. Probably 70 to 80% of child rapes are by family members and friends. So rather put in place safe childcare where children can be protected, where they're not exposed to people who have all sorts of other ideas. Get the Department of Social Development to get its National Child Protection Register working effectively so they can catch better those teachers who are resigned before they can be disciplined at a school and then simply go somewhere else to continue their behavior. Get that register functioning effectively. And I think those kinds of very simple solutions where we have legislation already in place that is simply not being implemented will be so much more effective than an idea that, as I said, is unproven and where we'd be wasting money on it when we already have ideas that are known to work but are just not implemented effectively.
Thank you very much, Lisa Vetten. She's a gender activist, weighing in there on the latest call once again by Lindiwe Sisulu, of course, ahead of the ANC policy conference. She plays a role as one of the executive members. She heads up the subcommittee on social transformation. She tried before, that's Lindiwe Sisulu, to say the country must consider chemical castration in order to stop rapists, especially what she considers to be child rapists. But there's no scientific basis that it can really work effectively. There's much more to be done by protecting children, as Lisa Vetten says there.